Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Pew. This week, we're going to start our series on Jesus. Each of us are going to take turns talking about different misconceptions about who Jesus is, so that we'll really be able to discover who he is, why he matters, why we should care about him, and what his plan is for our life. What I want to talk to you about today is the notion that most of us have that Jesus was a nice guy. We have this idea about Jesus because we see these nice pictures that were on our grandmother's mantles with the long flowy hair, Jesus with very feminine features looking up at the sky with a dove or light shining down. And we think that Jesus was soft, that he was gentle, that he was nice to everybody. And that's just not reality. That's just not the Jesus that truly existed. I want to challenge everyone today to think about Jesus as actually someone who rocked the boat, someone who challenged the status quo, someone who had courage, and someone who was daring enough to do the right thing even though it rattled more than a few feathers. It can be disconcerting when we hear verses such as, I have come not to bring peace but the sword, or I have come not to bring peace but division. And when we hear these verses, some of us think, man, that must have been a mistake. I don't understand what this is saying. Didn't Jesus come to bring peace and love and kindness and gentleness? Wasn't he nice to everybody? But with Jesus saying that he's coming to bring division and a sword and not peace, that doesn't really sit well with most of our ideas about who Jesus is. And what we have to realize is that yes, Jesus, he does tell us in John that he does bring peace, but he brings a peace that the world cannot give. Jesus brings a different kind of peace than the one that we're used to hearing about. When we think of peace, most of us think of not rocking the boat. We think of just kind of going along, not wanting to offend anybody, not wanting to hurt anybody. But look at Jesus. He knocked over tables in the temple. He was angry. He was righteously angry. And he was angry not because he had a bad temper or because he hated anybody, but he saw something that was truly wrong in the world and got justly angry and had a just response to something that was truly blasphemous. So I'll paint the story for you, the picture. Jesus comes into the temple, and this temple is the place where sacrifices are offered to God. The temple was a place of atoning for sin, and sacrifices would be offered. People would be praising God day and night. This is the way, they didn't have confession back then, so this is the way that they asked God for forgiveness and atone for Israel's sin. Well, Jesus comes in and he sees this marketplace buying and selling, and no longer is a temple a place of sacrifice and worship and a place of prayer and God's presence, but now it's a place of liars and cheaters and thieves and people who are trying to take advantage of others. And he gets righteously angry to where his rational response is to flip a table and to show how so very wrong this action is. So Jesus is being bold and he's being courageous and he's rocking the boat and made a lot of people very, very angry. And he flips tables around, and there's even some pictures with like Jesus with like a whip, whipping people out of the temple and releasing the animals. And this response is not of Jesus being an advocate for violence. He's definitely not an advocate for violence, but what he is saying is that we need to know how to step out in courage and to speak out against what is wrong in the world. So I want to challenge you to think about where you might fall in your responses. Are you someone that is more likely to stay with the status quo, doesn't want to offend anyone, doesn't want to rock the boat? Or are you somebody who has a temper or has a need to exert your authority? Or are you like Jesus, where when you see something that is happening that is wrong, where you get righteously angry within reason, which is what Jesus did, to step out in faith, step out in that courage and that boldness, and to do what's right. Jesus is not saying that peace is wrong or bad or anything. Absolutely not. But the peace that he's telling us that he wants to give us is the peace that comes with knowing that we're doing the right thing. That is real peace. That's a peace that the world cannot give. And that's what Jesus wants us to have, and that's what he wants to bring to the world. That's what he wants to bring to all of our lives. So I challenge you this week in your families, in your relationships, to be aware, am I getting overly angry? Am I trying to unnecessarily exert authority? Or am I being too passive when I see something wrong? And ask God to help you. Ask Jesus to help you be more like him, to be bold and be zealous and courageous for the right thing. And Jesus will definitely come and help you and teach you how to be like him. And that is real peace. See you next week. Bye.